Hi, Willie. Congratulations. First off, when you see over the summer when there's, the social justice awareness in the NHL and that kind of comes to the forefront, whether it's in the bubble or even before that, did that feel like a kind of turning point to you? I know you've been involved in so much outreach over the years and trying to help with diversity and inclusion. And did do you feel like there was an uptick in action after that?
Yeah, I did, Scott. Yes, I thought everything. I thought everything went well. I thought the Commissioner Bettman and the committee did a fantastic job. I think everything went very well, and I think everybody was pleased with the outcome.
We'll go next to Kevin Dupont. Go ahead, Dupes.
Hey, Willie, good to see you again.
How are you, Kevin? Good to see you.
Great, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
If I could just hit you with a few very quick questions, because this is the day about your numbers, so there's not much we know about your numbers. So, you come in and Milt Schmidt's the coach. How do you get 22? Typically, rookies don't have much say in the number.
Well, apparently it was the one that was presented to me. When on January the 18th, the game I played in Montreal, I wore number 18. And then when I came back up in 1960, the Bruins presented me with number 22, and I just put on number 22. And I also wore number 25 for about a half a dozen games. But the remainder of my stay with the Bruins, I wore number 22.
Everyone said you were hard to catch. I guess so, if you had different numbers all the time. So, Willie, did you keep 22? When you went out west, did the number itself have any significance? Or
well, no. When I was traded, from the Bruins, I was traded to the Montreal Canadiens in '61, and I started in Hull, Ottawa with the Hull, Ottawa Canadiens. And then I was traded to the Los Angeles Blades of the Western Hockey League. So when I went out to Los Angeles, they gave me number 20, and I wore number 20. The 6 years I played with the Blades in the Western League.
Okay, a couple of other very quick ones here. I can't imagine, because it's 60 years ago now. But did you keep them? Yeah. But who's counting? Did you keep a Bruins sweater?
Well, no. The thing was, see, when I was traded from the Bruins in '61, they said, "Willie, go home and have a good summer. Look forward to coming back with the Bruins." So I go back to my hometown and I tell my parents and I tell my close friends, "Gosh, I'm going to go back with the Bruins training camp next season." I was home about 6 weeks, and I was sitting in the living room with my mom, and the phone rings, and my mom picked up the phone, and then she said, "Willie, it's a sports writer." And I take the phone and I says, "Hello." And the other end, the voice said, "Willie, what do you think about the trade?" And I said, "The trade? You have me at a disadvantage." He says, "Well, you've been traded to the Montreal Canadiens." I says, "I have, yeah." He says, "To come over the teletype." So I was traded. If I had known I wasn't coming back with the Bruins, I would have taken my Bruins jersey. But I do have my Bruins jersey, the one that I wore in '60 and '61. It was given to me for a kind gentleman in Boston.
Oh, no kidding! How recently?
Well, I have it now, but the NHL had it in their traveling black mobile that was traveling around. I let them have it, but then they sent it back to me. But it shrunk. It was a wool jersey, and somebody had worn it, and now I don't think I could get it on, but it is the number 22 that I wore when I went up with the Bruins.
Okay, and last one from me, because I'm hogging the microphone here, but you retire in the spring of '79. Finally, you're in your mid 40s. If someone in that spring had said to you, "Willie, 40 odd years later, you'll have your number retired by the Bruins," would you have even believed it? Could you conceive it?
Probably not. No.
What goes through your head now that it is being retired?
Well, I was sitting in my backyard yesterday afternoon, and Cam Neely from the Bruins called, and I said, "Hey, hi Cam, how are you?" He says, "I'm fine." He says, I have something special for you to tell you." And he said, the Bruins are going to retire your number. And I says, oh my gosh. I was at a loss for words there for a few seconds. And I says, I'm overwhelmed and thrilled about the, about having my Bruins, jersey, hung up in the rafters.
Great. Thank you. You're very patient. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dupes. Just a reminder to our media, if you want to ask Willie a question, please hit the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. We'll go next to Ryan Clark. Go ahead, Ryan.
Mr. O'Ree, thank you so much for your time. I guess the two-part question I've got for you is, one, did you ever think this day would come where your number would get retired? And also, do you think it could have happened sooner, or what do you think in that regard?
Well, it possibly could have happened sooner. When I went and played with the Bruins in 1958 and then 60 and 61, and then when I retired from the NHL, I got a call 30 years later, in 1991. I left the league in 61. In 1991, I got a call from the NHL inviting me to the All-Star game in Chicago. And when I picked up the phone and answered, and I said, well, why are you inviting me? I said, I haven't played in 30 years. He said, well, we realized that you broke the color barrier and we'd like to invite you to the All-Star game. So my wife and I went, had a great time, but that was 30 years after I left the league. So, sometimes things take a little longer.
We'll go next to Eric Russo.
Hey, Willie, congratulations. I'm wondering what you think. See some of the other names up in the rafters, the Bobby Orrs and the Ray Borks, and what it means to now be up there with those names.
Oh, it's wonderful, really. I have met those both gentlemen, and Bobby has attended my Willie O'Ree hockey skills tournament on weekends, and as I mentioned, I'm just thrilled and honored, to be a part of the Bruin organization. I was a Montreal Canadian fan in my teens, because Toronto and Montreal were the only two teams in the NHL. But when I went to my first Bruins training camp in 1957, I became a Bruins fan, and then 58, I went to training camp again. But I have the highest respect and the highest admiration for the entire Bruin organization. Especially the guys that I played with during that time.
Thanks, Willie. We'll go next to Steve Conley.
Welcome.
Willie, congratulations.
Is it Steve?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Sure. Just thinking back to that 57, 58 season, and when you got the call, did you fully appreciate what you were doing at the time, or has that come in retrospect for you?
Well, I always hoped that I would have the opportunity to play in the National Hockey League, and I turned pro in 1956 with the Quebec Aces, and Punch Emlek was the coach, and Punch told me, he says, Willie, he says, you have the skills and the ability to play in the NHL, and there hasn't been a black player in the NHL, and he says, you could be the first. Well, it kind of went in one ear and out the other, and I played that year, my first year junior. We won the league, and then they invited me to the Bruins training camp in 1957, which I went and met Mill Schmidt and met Lynn Patrick, the GM, and I just felt good about going to their training camp and maybe hopefully one day playing with the Bruins. And then on January the 18th, the Bruins called the Quebec Aces and said, we want O'Ree to meet the Bruins in Montreal to play 2 games against Montreal Canadiens. So, I take the train, and when I arrived in Montreal, I got together with Mill Schmidt and Lynn Patrick, and they said, Willie, we brought you up because we think you could add a little something to the team. He says, you're a Bruins now, and he says, just go out and play your game and don't worry about anything else. And basically, I went out and just played the game, and we were fortunate to beat Canadiens. Shut them out 3-0 Saturday night in Montreal. So after the game, my parents come up from my hometown and some close friends, and didn't have much time because we were getting on the train. The Canadians had their car and the Bruins had their car, and then we went to Boston and played there Sunday. And then I went back to Quebec and finished the season up with the Aces.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll do one last call for questions. Media, if you want to get in that queue, please click the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. And we'll go next to Mark Capello.
Hello,
Mr.
Mark.
O'Ree, how you doing? Mr. O'Ree,
Good.
congratulations. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Congratulations. It's well-deserved. It's a tremendous honor. I'm very happy for you.
It is. Thank you kindly.
The question I would ask is, how did you get started playing hockey? I know it probably wasn't a huge sport of a lot of African Americans at that time. How did you start to play hockey? How did that get going?
Well, I was the youngest of 13 children. And I remember my older brother, I started skating at the age of 3. I remember having the double runners on and clamping them onto my boots and skating. I had a pretty good sized backyard, so my dad flooded it, and there was an instant rink there. And then I started playing organized hockey when I was 5. Kind of played up through the ranks. We played on just outdoor rinks. I never played on an indoor rink until I was 15. But I started playing, and I was just obsessed with playing it. Once I got on a pair of skates, and I found out that what you could do, skate and turn and stop and things like that. And I was considered a pretty good skater. And then when I was 17, I had the opportunity to go up to Quebec City and play my first year junior with the Quebec Frontenacs. Phil Watson was the coach, and I had left my hometown and went up. And my brother told me, he said, Willie, he says, there's no substitute for hard work. He says, you only get out of a thing what you put into it. He says, so when you go to camp, he says, work as hard as you can. And he says, if they're going to keep 20 or 22 players, make sure that you're one of the 22. And that's the thing that I kept in the back of my mind. So when I went up and then made the team, and then from then on, I went to the second year, I went to Kitchener and played there. And then I turned pro in 1956 with Ponchemlac. But I was obsessed with playing the sport. There was just that burning desire. And even when I lost my eye, my second year junior, and everybody said that, you should quit. I said, well, I could still see. And I just kept on playing. And, we didn't wear any helmets, no face shields or no cages back then, but I forgot about being blind and just went out and played.
Well, congratulations, and it's well deserved. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
We'll go next to Matt Vautour.
Hello, Matt.
Willie, congratulations.
Thank you.
You mentioned in 1991 going to that All-Star game and being surprised at the attention the league was giving you. You'd had the time that you had in between your playing career and that All-Star game. Did you sort of accumulate a different perspective as you got older about your place in history? And you've gotten to some degree more famous since that time. And has achieving that fame as an older man sort of given you a different perspective on what you did and your place in the history of the game?
Well, I always set goals for myself. That's one of the things that I had set a goal that I was going to play junior hockey and hopefully play pro. And then the 21 years I played pro after, I really felt that I had something to give back to the game and give back to the sport of the 21 years that I played. And my goal was to get back into the National Hockey League in some capacity. And I wrote letters, and I was trying to get in as doing some coaching, doing some community service work, doing some scouting, but a door would open, a door would close, a door would open, a door would close. But then in 1996, I was working at the Hotel Del Coronado in Coronado Island. And Brian McBride was the newly appointed vice president of the NHL's diversity program. Mm-hmm. And he found out that I was in San Diego, and gave me a call and wanted to know if I wanted to be involved with this new program. And so I looked the program over, and it was involving kids traveling and working, doing on and off ice clinics, speaking at schools, juvenile detention facilities, boys and girls clubs, YWCAs, any place where there was kids that I thought that would be able to maybe take on hockey. So I started, and then all of a sudden things just started to move, and I've been working with the NHL for 23 years now. But as you mentioned, so many things have happened after I retired, and so many good things. There's there's 2 rinks in my name, one in just outside of Boston, and then the Willie O'Ree place in my hometown. I've had a book out, and a documentary. The Canadian Mint produced a $20 silver coin with my likeness on one side and the Queen's on the other, and then being inducted into the Hall of Fame and then Canada being inducted there, and then there's just things. So many wonderful things have happened to me, after I retired.
If you could picture a young black kid at a TD Garden looking up and seeing your number and asking their parent or whoever they went to the game with, who was Willie O'Ree? What was he like? What would you want the answer to be? How would you want yourself to be described to that kid who is learning for the first time about who you were and what you did?
I'd probably say just Willie O'Ree, a young black kid that set goals for himself and stayed focused on what he wanted to do, believed in himself, and wanted to play not only professional hockey, but hopefully one day play in the National Hockey League. And I said that I would strive to be all that I could be, and I could probably just leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We'll take our final question from Esteban Bustillos. Go ahead, Esteban.
Hi, Willie. Congrats. Congrats, just as everybody else said. Obviously, we're talking a lot about your legacy tonight. In terms of what you're able to do to break the color barrier to where the NHL is now, how much have you seen change in that regard in terms for Black athletes who want to play in the NHL, and what can still improve?
Oh, well, I broke the color barrier in 1958, and there are so many, not only Black players, but players of color now that are in the league. And these players are there because they have the skill and the ability to be there. They're not there just because they're Black players or players of color. They've proven that they can play, and the NHL is the league that they're playing in. But there's been a lot of changes. There's more kids playing hockey today than ever before. There are more girls playing hockey today, and the exposure is out there. And what I wanted to do and what I wanted to try to do was expose as many boys and girls as possible and give them the opportunity to play the sport. And there are many clinics that I've attended, and just let these boys and girls know that there is a sport that they can play. And if they don't like it, they can just walk away from it. It's not going to cost them anything. But I can honestly say the number of clinics that I've conducted over the years, and once I get these boys and girls on the ice, I've not had one boy or girl come up to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Ree, I don't like this. I'm not coming back." And so I've got a good record going, and it just takes sometimes the word of mouth. But and then again, these boys and girls have a lot of role models that they look up to, and that's a big thing. That to have these players come out and just talk to these boys and girls for maybe 5 minutes, or just come out and have a picture taken with them. That means a lot to them.